Hello everybody and welcome to Bookmas Day 5. This wasn't planned in the sense that I didn't think that I was going to upload podcast episodes while also simultaneously doing Bookmas vlogs, but here we are. If you're wondering what this episode is going to be about, I wanted to talk about books, Booktok Drama, authors, our favorite booktubers, how we feel about them. Not that I want to criticize any other creators, to be honest, because I feel like they do such great things in this space and I can only gain information from them or inspiration from them. So yeah, let's get into this episode, shall we? Welcome to Sip and Chat, and I'm your host, Alyssa. If you're wondering what I'm sipping while we're chatting, it's a decaf cold brew with sweet cream creamer and maple syrup. I've really jumped on the maple train. I wasn't into it last year. I also am an avid peppermint mocha girl. I would rather have a peppermint mocha over anything else. And this is coming as a barista because I make peppermint mochas on the day-to-day and they're my favorite thing to make. But I also make hazelnut truffle mochas and all those Dutch Bros drinks that you guys are seeing out right now because I am a Dutch Bros barista. That's what I baristaed for myself this morning. I also had a coffee prior to this, which was a peppermint mocha. It's just midday at the time that I'm filming this, so I realized if I drank any more coffee, if I wanted to wake up and be a productive person the next day, there was just no way that I was going to have a regular caffeinated cold brew right now. And not to say that I can't handle my coffee, because I can. I have been the girl to get a Nitro 911 with white coffee instead of regular coffee, because if you didn't know, white coffee is roasted for less time, so it makes it more caffeinated on the contrary to dark espresso. If you're wondering about the setup behind me, or this entire little, frame that I've set up for you guys, it's my book room. This is initially how I wanted to start my podcast, like this, but I don't have my couch yet. I wanted to get like a proper couch in here, and then I wanted to have the backdrop of my books. But if you guys don't know, in my apartment journey, at least this far, we have yet to get much furniture rather than the necessities of furniture. Like, I have a vanity that's broken that I need to get rid of that I'm literally staring at right now. I am not going to show you guys that because that's kind of embarrassing. I also really need to clean up my office area that I'm also staring at that's in this room as well. I moved in with my boyfriend, I think about 6 months ago into this apartment, and he's made it a priority to give me this extra bedroom so that way I have a creative space for myself. But with that comes the challenges of trying to fund creativity, i.e. getting the bookshelves that I see myself having for literally ever, because I wanted to get bookshelves that I could invest in. And that probably means looking at IKEA and trying to find, I think I'm between chestnut and oak. I think I might end up getting the oak just because I feel like it'll go with the vibe. Plus, if I get a dark green couch, just picture that vision. That's what I want to go for. But if you can't tell, that is my physical TBR cart in this frame. If you're listening on your ears, I hope you go and watch the video to understand how big my chart has gotten. I do keep adding books as I finish books, and honestly I feel like that's just the way of life. I feel like I'm never going to finish my physical TBR. Like, as much as I would love to, as much as I would like to not have a single book on this cart, I feel like realistically your physical TBR is going to grow along with you. Do I condone people getting over 200 books on their physical TBR and not having read them? No, I do not. I feel like to some degree there is overconsumption within Booktok and booktube and all of that, and to some degree, yes, get the book because you want to read it eventually. I mean, I've had Fourth Wing on my shelf for at least over a year. It's just not the time to pick it up. I feel like I'm not there yet, but I am picking up other book series currently, and I'm currently starting other megaverses such as the Sarah J Maas universe, and Cassandra Clare is a big one too. So buy within your own means, but also finish the books that you buy. Why are they sitting there? And I understand that sometimes you pick up the book book at like the perfect time. I love that. I love when that happens. Like a book can encapsulate an entire moment for me in time. And I feel like that can be said for a whole lot of the series that I've read, especially The Hunger Games and Twilight. Like those were pivotal moments for me. I read The Hunger Games in high school, and I read Twilight, I think, my junior and senior year of high school. And that, oh my Lanta, that was life-changing. And then Midnight Sun came out, which I still haven't read yet. I think I want to do a proper Twilight reread because I think I've only ever read it once, and it was in high school. So this would be my first reread of this series ever. And I'm hearing people are doing tandem reads of Midnight Sun and Twilight to get both perspectives, and I just think that's freaking crazy. Also, can we talk about the Sarah J. Maas universe? Because girl, I have no clue where to start. And everyone's told me to start with either Throne of Glass or ACOTAR. Never start with Crescent City. Crescent City you finished with. Why did I buy Crescent City first? I heard urban fantasy because I had just gotten through a big urban fantasy series by Cassandra Clare. I think it was her first one ever. It's The Mortal Instruments. Finished that and I was like, oh, I need another fantasy like series to hop into because I'm going to continue with her Megaverse, but I need moments in between where I can indulge in other series, because I feel like if I give all of my attention to Cassandra, I'm only going to read Cassandra for an entire year, and like that could get boring. Not to say that her writing is boring by any means, but it's really one of those things where it's like, you know, when you have too much of something and it's like overwhelming. I feel like it would get like that, but with Cassandra Clare, and I don't want that to happen to her because she's one of my favorite fantasy writers. And then there's authors like Brandon Sanderson. I recently saw Larry's reaction to finishing to the Mistborn trilogy, and I was like, damn, you're making me really want to go pick that up, because what do you mean you're bawling your eyes out? I don't know about you, but I pick up a book to feel something sometimes. Hence why I'm kind of sort of like not trying to read Alchemized right now, but like my boyfriend kind of picked that for this month's TBR. I felt like that was very fitting. I think he knew that I was putting off that book because I knew it was going to hurt me, and he was just like, you have to do this, like it's going to change your life. And I know it will. I'm not against that, but like I'm doing everything by my means necessary. I'm reading the rest of my December TBR, and I'm just thinking about reading Alchemized. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be so hurtful, and I really want to finish with Throne of Glass so that way I could not finish the entire series in a month. I don't think that's realistic, though I feel like I could read that fast if I really tried. But to end with Throne of Glass, so that way I could start a new series into the new year and quite possibly do a video on that. I don't know if you guys are interested in having me read series for the first time. Like, I wanted to read the Harry Potter series for the first time. I think I've only ever read the first 2 books, and I've watched all of the movies a bajillion times, so it's not like I don't know the storyline, but it's also like I know I'm missing big details because I know when the production happens, they have to cut out certain pivotal moments in a book that you can really only get in the book. You know what I mean? So I want to do that. I might do a big haul video, and I have so many ideas, and I love Bookmas, and able to get all the creative juices flowing in that way. And that's why I've been enjoying and been indulging in Bookmas. This is my first Bookmas, and I feel like, yes, to some degree you guys can still see that I'm learning. Like with anything, I'm always learning. And I know that because, hello, I'm a college student. I don't exactly have an I made it moment. I barely hit 100 subscribers in my first year of YouTube. And honestly, that's a big milestone for me. But to some people, that's not even a fourth of their subscribers. And like, you start to think and you start to compare yourself to all these other creators, i.e. one of my favorites, Emmy Rossum. She's a UK creator, and she reads so quickly, and she's also a neurodivergent, but I think I'm a different kind of neurodivergent where it's like, if I can't picture it in my head, why the heck am I reading it? So like, I've been through maybe 3-4 slumps in the last year, and that hence why I got something to stop my doom scrolling, to keep my creative juices flowing, hence why I'm able to do Bookmas. And you're gonna think I'm so dramatic when I say this, but I truly think if I didn't get this thing this year, it's called a brick. Let me get it, hold on. If you're watching this video, I'm holding it up. It's a brick It's essentially a physical device that blocks your phone so that you do not doom scroll, you do not go on social media by any means. It could literally block YouTube. The only thing that I don't let it block is any of my editing platforms and my YouTube studio. That's how you know how locked in I am, because I wanted to make sure I was on my P's and Q's this semester, and this has saved me. And that's not a terrible thing, but to some degree it's like, damn, you're addicted to your phone. And I'm like, we're in a digital age. We're in a digital era. On the digital era thing, I feel like I get camera FOMO. Hence why I have the Canon PowerShot V1. That's how I got my vlogging camera. I got FOMO and I bought it. It was the best decision of my life. I think this is the most trusty camera that I've ever had, that films in the way that I like it to film while still being vlog style and being compact, which I feel like is the thing that you want in your vlog camera. And then I also fell to the iPhone 17 Pro Max hype. I did buy it, but I also bought it in time before my phone absolutely killed itself. Okay, so it was more of a need than anything else, because if I didn't have my phone, I didn't have a means to create, and I feel like the phone is what helps me create to some degree, but it also diminishes your creativity if you do not use it as a tool. And I've been trying to use my phone as a tool in a lot of ways, because if you're a content creator, you are on your phone 24/7. I'm always looking at my emails because, God forbid, I miss a brand deal email, or if I ever get a brand deal email and it comes through and I miss it and I don't like do my proper research on like the companies that are emailing me, you know what I mean? I don't want to ever go into something and not know what I'm getting myself into. And as far as brand emails, I have had a couple of companies reach out, and I'm never going to say any names. Don't sue me. It's all alleged. But I've had brands reach out, and it's not bad. But sometimes they will see a small content creator putting their whole heart and chest into their work. Not to say that my content creation feels like work, because it doesn't. I love the editing process. The editing process is my baby. I feel like I am taking care of this channel in a way that I haven't before. And it's starting to show with the way that I edit and the way that you guys are consuming the way that I edit. You know what I mean? Like, I have improved vastly from where I started. And companies are seeing this. And they are reaching out, right? But they're lowballing, because if your engagement isn't a certain like degree, if your analytics don't pan out, you are not good enough for the company. And like, okay, that's cool. That's fine. 9 times out of 10, when that happens, I don't take the brand deal, or I don't even like, I'll respond and I'll be like, thank you for the offer, but I'm not looking for this. And like, our values don't align right now. Maybe at a later date. You know what I mean? And there's a way to navigate that. And honestly, I've enjoyed doing that and taking charge of myself in that way, because I feel like it's so frowned upon to say no sometimes. And like, you could be essentially cutting ties with the company before you've even worked with them. And like, oh my gosh, yeah. That's a thing. I wanted to talk about that because I just seen Emmy's video of her doing a full day in the life of like she runs her own business. I think it's a marketing agency for influencers, which is so cool. And she also manages influencers as well. And she posts her own content, which I feel like is so cool. And I've wanted to get into social media in that way, in that platform, and like in the forefront of marketing, yes, because at some point it's Q4. If you don't know what that means, it's the fourth quarter of the year. It's when businesses decide to invest into all of the content creators. This is the content creators' biggest time for ads. And not to say that I don't want to ever be that person, but like, that's a dream of mine, to like film for a company that I've looked and admired to. Like, I think recently I got, not a brand deal, but I made an ad for Casely, which is not the sponsor of this video, but I would love it if they were to reach out to me, because I have so many of their cases. I use it on my iPhone 17 Pro, and girl, they're so cute, and they're so beautiful in the sense that I know that my phone is going to be fine and it's going to look good when I take my mirror pictures, and you're going to look at me and be like, that's so consumerism of you. And I'm going to be like, yeah, okay, just slightly, but like that's my bread and butter, and I'm not gonna yuck your yum, you know what I mean? Like, this is what I like to do. And I'm just the kind of person that's always bought really cool cases. But they recently sent me a message and they were like, hey, can we use your video for an ad? And I was like, sure, get me in the space. Like, you know what I mean? And I want to create a partnership with this brand because their values align with mine, and they're affordable in the sense that they always have sales. And you know what I mean? It's just scouting. And I feel like scouting companies is the hardest part of content creation, especially when all the wrong companies are reaching out to you sometimes. Not to say that Casely is a wrong company, because I love them and I would love to work with them. Also, on the topic of Casely, look at my Casely phone case. Isn't she beautiful? Casely, sponsor me. Anyway, let me search up Booktok Drama. Our first on the list is plagiarism and AI accusations. And this has to do with an indie romance novel called Beverly by Laura J. Robert. And it's allegedly plagiarizing Obsessed by R.J. Lewis. I've never read that. But I also want to talk about the fact that sometimes AI can be used as a tool and then it could be used in a wrongful way, i.e. plagiarism. Like how people have been talking about in Booktok, and I hate it. I also think that there's been a decline in the way that books have been coming out because I feel like everything's been tropified. And you're going to look at me and be like, what the heck does that mean? You know, enemies to lovers. I need to talk about this because it really annoyed me. They're all talking about enemies to lovers and like fake dating. Those are just some tropes that I can think of off the top of my head. But they categorized Alchemized by Senlin Yu as enemies to lovers. Oh my gosh, it's the equivalent of a war fantasy in the sense that it's post-war apocalyptic. And I'm saying this because I've read some of Senlin Yu's work prior to her being published. I have not read Manacled yet, and I want to. And I already have it from AO3 before I downloaded it, before it like got off the platform. But I've read some of her prior works. And I hate that they tropified this. And then it became 0 to 100 and it started popping off on Booktok and everyone's like crying about it. And I'm like, guys, why are we tropifying this? This is like, y'all are marketing this book as enemies to lovers. And what if a young kid picks this up thinking, oh, it'll be fine. And then this thing is like exploring deep trauma stuff. And there's trigger warnings in the back of the book to let you know, hey, like, might be sensitive for some readers. Like, don't read this. And y'all are marketing it. And what if a little kid picks that up? I'm just saying, I feel like that's so bad. And then the AI thing with Larry and all of them. Me personally, I do not think that they're flawed. The AI thing, when correlating to Larry and that group of booktubers, me personally, I watch them. I've always watched them, you know what I mean? They're definitely in my rotation. Do I watch them constantly? Not exactly. I think I gravitate more towards Emmy, if anything, because I know that they're friends with Emmy. And then I think it's her and Laura that I watch the most. But then there's Larry that came into the mix. I started watching her videos too, but not as consistently as I watch Emmy or Laura. And I feel like I don't watch Laura as often as I do Emmy. Like if Emmy posts, I'm watching it. Like that girl is my comfort booktuber. And I feel like she consumes books at the rate that I want to be consuming books. Because what do you mean you read that so quickly, girl? I want to read that quickly. Let me be right back. All right, besties, we're back. My camera died. I feel like a noob. I feel like I'm still a noob when I'm doing stuff like this, but I'm having a great time. And at the rate that she reads books with a full-time job, I love her. Like, I want to be her because she can read that much so quickly and upload 2 videos a week. Like, girl, I want to be you. Like, you are my inspiration. And then I also really wanted to talk about getting mutuals on social media platforms. I feel like it's so hard to make friends on social media when you're actively creating content, because I feel like they sometimes won't even want to be in a video with you. And I'm not saying I want to be able to create collaborations with people, but like to some degree I want to have friends that I can speak to on social media. I used to have a long distance best friend. I was always on the internet. I've been on the internet since I was a kid, but I was also outside. You know what I mean? I was always outside. I was always reading. I was always doing something to fill my own cup. And I had a long distance best friend, and I was like, oh, I remember that era. I remember wanting to buy tickets to break the distance and stuff like that. And I would love to be able to connect with other booktubers in that way. I sometimes I envy the girlies that have all these friends because of their social media platforms. And I feel like to some degree, I'm not big enough to have the platforms that they have yet to be able to create the friendships that they have because of their social media. And I'll get there eventually. But that's definitely one of the things that I'm like, oh, I really want that. I'm gonna cry. Victoria Aveyard, the author of Red Queen, publicly criticized authors using AI generated content and calling it theft. I have not seen that, though that's kind of odd. I also heard about Chloe Walsh, I think, calling out Larry because of the Binding and Keep, the Boys of Toman series, I think is what it's called. I say as I have the special editions on my physical TBR. But the Boys of Toman series, I think she like sexualized these minor characters. Mind you, I think they're all in high school. That's why I haven't picked it up yet. I also heard they go through so much trauma, so I feel like I have to be mentally prepared to read that. And I think I might, as soon as I finish Throne of Glass, I might do Binding or The Boys of Toman, because it has been sat there for a minute. But so has Fourth Wing. And then I also picked up Kingdom of the Wicked because of another booktuber that I love. Her name's Tiffany. She's a mom. Oh, her content is so wholesome. You know when a content creator is so wholesome that you're like, damn. And then her videos are so well edited in the sense that her graphics and her animations are to die for. Like, girl, I want to be you. I'm also actively learning. There's a controversy around a Booktok influencer known as Cal is reading. According to indie authors, she charged them hundreds of dollars to post promotional TikToks about their books. But the content she made sometimes didn't feel genuine. Some authors claim she hadn't read their books. Ooh, I have no idea what to even say about that, because what do you mean you're posting a review without having read the books? I feel like that's so off. And like, I understand, like, to some degree, not everybody can be Emmy in the sense that she reads a whole crap ton. But like, sometimes you're a slower reader. And that's also why I love Tiffany, because she keeps it so real. She's like, guys, I've been reading the same book for over a week already. And I'm like, that's me. Because sometimes I just don't make the time to read, or, you know, life just gets in the way of a good book. And like, that's regular. But like, why would you charge these authors if you weren't gonna read? That give me the ick. Next one on the list, another creator, Mariana, was criticized for promoting an AI writing app right after publicly calling out plagiarism in another book. She's in this group that I'm talking about with Larry. They're like best friends. I don't remember any of their names. All I know is Larry and Mariana. But I saw this, I think this year, and I was like, oh, like, there she goes, getting canceled again. And then I think she even posted a TikTok being like, I like my friends canceled, with like the new TikTok thing. And I was like, as you should, queen. To some degree, I'm like, everyone is human. If she's promoting this, she needs the money. Like, wouldn't you take the brand deal? Wouldn't you? And I mean, to some degree, there's some morale around it. And I understand that, because I know how AI is taking over creative spaces, and I hate it. Because as someone who loves to do video editing, I know that my job will be taken by an AI editor at some point. You know what I mean? Or it's already happening, because CapCut's doing the AI edits, and I'm like, now there's AI captions and there's AI voices for these videos, which I feel like is so off-putting. But to some degree, sometimes it adds to the creativity in the sense that you wouldn't have thought of adding that voice if the AI voice didn't do it. You know what I mean? But then there's the bad side where you're plagiarizing works of art that people took months or even years to create. And I don't think AI should be a thing. I don't know why we decided AI was going to be a thing. It's not my favorite. I don't feel like talking about this AI subject anymore because it's such a big thing, especially at university now too. So that's enough on that. Toxic relationship glorification. Oh, Colleen Hoover, It Ends With Us thing. Her stories romanticizing unhealthy relationships. I feel like at some point that has become a trope, like the toxic relationship trope. And I feel like we see that with Magnolia Parks. I have not read it, though I have heard reviews of Magnolia Parks and It Ends With Us. And to me, it sounds pretty similar. Like it's all drama. It's like reading a soap opera. And to some degree, you want to read a book like that. And I understand that. But to a moral degree, putting domestic violence at the top of your list of something to write about and then promote that and it be nothing like the book. Why are we writing that and then promoting it as not something as domestic violence? And one, if it's a domestic violence book, madam, why are we as a unit promoting it as not as that when it is that? And we have little kids picking up this book because it has flowers on the cover. I think at the height of the Colleen Hoover It Ends With Us drama, I literally read it. And it was because I was like, I want to try and read this because everyone's talking about it, one. And I was at a state where I hadn't picked up a book on any of these shelves in over 2 years. And I was like, I really want to get back into reading again. I feel like reading made up so much of who I was as a kid. And I don't know, I find myself in these characters a lot of the time. I see myself in Hermione Granger sometimes. I see myself in Ron. I see myself in Harry. And to some degree, I feel like, yes, we take away the art from the person who created it. And I mean that with my whole heart. Because I love Harry Potter, but I do not like J.K. Rowling as a whole. But I do understand her points of view. Do you understand that? Like, to be mature enough to admit that. Because I feel like in some spaces, if you were to say that, immediately you're canceled. And you know what? And I'm here to cancel myself because I really don't care. And I don't think that anyone's going to, like, read into this. But that was a big one. I think what matters is that Colleen Hoover, I think, created a gateway for people to become readers, and to some degree that's great, but to also not support her ever again, you know what I mean? Because I do understand why she's canceled. But there's a moral circumstance that needs to be addressed, and I feel like I shouldn't be supporting that, so I'm no longer supporting that. And like, I had the book on my shelf and I gave it away. I put it in a little free library. That's usually what I do when I give away my books. I don't like to profit off the books that I bought. I know to some people, they will put it on Pango or something like that. I've just never been that kind of person. So I take all of my books to a little free library. And honestly, to each their own, I've given away literal book series in those. So I feel like I've blessed some kids and they're probably reading some of my favorite books right now because I did give away my first editions of The Mortal Instruments just because I couldn't find the proper matching covers to complete the series. So I'm going to get them in hardcover now. I just don't know when. Booktok has become commercialized with ads by all means, but so has every single platform that I've ever posted on. I feel like everything is consumed by ads. And yes, get your bag, you're a content creator, you know what I mean? But I feel like it should be tasteful. But then again, you never know the situation that that person is in. So I've taken that with a grain of salt. I think a book haul trend, oh my gosh, the book haul trends. Not to say that I've not partaken in it. If you've seen my book talk, which all of my bookish links are linked down below in the description. Anyway, I've also done the whole haul thing. Hello, I have the physical TBR cart. I feel like to some degree I have bought in to certain things on Booktok, BookTube, you know what I mean? But the book haul controversy of people buying 30, 40, 50, 60 books in a row, spending over $400 on a book haul, like, yes, glad that you have the money, but are you actually going to read all those books? Are you actually going to read all those books? Or are you going to go out again and go get more books? Because I feel like to some degree, book buying is a hobby. Book buying and book reading are two separate hobbies, argue with a wall. Because I've seen so many people be performative readers. I feel like I need to talk about this because why are you performatively reading? Like, you just brought the book to not pick it up. And to some degree, I feel like this could be seen as the emotional support Kindle that nobody has opened in over a month. And if you feel victimized, I feel like I'm talking to you. And it's not to say that that's a bad thing, but there is a difference between buying books and reading them. Me personally, I buy them and I read them. I won't buy for a while. I won't buy for 3 months, 4 months, and then I'll go buy books. At some point, I think I was buying a book every other week, but I was also reading so much that I felt like I could go buy out another book. You know what I mean? Like, there's a rule for yourself that you can make, but that is also up to you. Self-discipline is also a thing which I feel like we do not talk about enough, especially when buying and consuming as much booktube, book talks as we do. This was in my notes. I feel like the entire internet is reactive. I say that knowing full well that when this video uploads, I'm going to have trolls in my comments being like, what the heck? I don't agree with this. To each their own is what I say. You have your opinion and I have my opinion. That is why I created this space. That's why I created this video. I want to hear your opinions, but that does not mean you get to dog on my opinions. Because guess what? They're opinions. I'm not saying it's a fact. It's an opinion. And let's talk about it because everyone's canceling. Everyone's saying it's a cash money grab. Dare I say, let's talk about Sunrise on the Reaping because that was my biggest release of the year. And everyone was saying, oh my gosh, it's a cash grab. When it was literally the most well-written book in this century. That this woman was writing and connecting and showing you that a revolution does not happen overnight. It does not happen because of one person, but it happens because, you know, the concept of in order to have a village, you have to be a villager. Well, that concept. And some people hate to hear it. But Suzanne was just connecting the dots for us. You know what I mean? And people saw that as, I want more money. She wants to get her bag. She wants another movie production so that she could get that moolah. And you know what I say to that? God forbid a girl bosses. Because I feel like Sunrise on the Reaping was necessary to understand how we got to where we got to in the Hunger Games trilogy. Just as such that we needed Snow's perspective to understand the Covey and what a big part they played in the revolution as a whole, despite the fact that some Covey didn't even make it to the light of day. At least the original Covey. You know what I mean? It's just my opinion. Publishing industry tensions. I think I spoke about this. Like, I touched on this slightly. That's why places like NetGalley exist. And I have a love-hate relationship with NetGalley. I don't use NetGalley as often as I used to. I think when I first started out on my book talk, I used NetGalley for like literally everything. I requested all the books. I over-requested, and now my ratio is pretty crap. I don't think that I'll be able to get any other books. But then again, I could also always fix that, my ratio eventually. I just don't think it'll be this year. It might be next year. But I think that the reviews from NetGalley are 100% either true or they're just trying to make sure that their ratings are good. This is going to be really bad. I've heard people fake reviews on NetGalley. I personally don't. I actually read the books. Sometimes if I don't have the time to read the books, I will let the publisher know and be like, I didn't plan accordingly. And that's my fault. And like, accountability is such an issue because everything has become a reactive forefront in the sense that you're canceled if you say the wrong thing, rather than, hey, maybe don't word it like this, or like, maybe you can say it like this next time. There's no, let's fix this. It's just, you're immediately canceled. You know what I mean? That was like my issue with book talk, at least this year. I really didn't like the cancel culture. And, the fact that publishing companies are relying on influencers or on authors to become influencers in order to pick up their books, even though their books are written beautifully and are probably of higher caliber than what we are currently putting out. I don't understand that. We're at a point in history where your follower count matters more than what you've done on the outside. And it sucks. It sucks because I know I follow so many authors on TikTok, indie authors that I think are amazing. And like, I feel like they deserve the hype too. And I love creators like Emmy because she puts these indie authors on a platform. And like, oh, she's godsend. I'm sorry. I feel like this is just an Emmy Rossum hype page at this point. But yeah, I don't like the fact that they're relying on authors to market their books when in reality, that's what you're paying a publishing company for. You know what I mean? So like, pick up their book, read their book, rather than go look at their follower count. Like, go look at their manuscript. I'm pretty sure their manuscript is a lot better than what they have on social media. Why are we basing picking up a grade based off of what the author is posting about? Like, I don't like that concept in the slightest. And I feel like it worked for Alex Astor, but that's not going to be the case for every single author. And I feel like Alex Astor, yes, she did put in the work because I've been following her for a long time before even Light Lark came out. And she worked for it. And it wasn't even her debut novel that like truly blew up, you know what I mean? But the bottom line is Booktok isn't just about cute book recs anymore. Oh my gosh. Booktok isn't about cute book recs anymore. The community is grappling with serious issues, ethics, AI, exploitation, representation. Fans and authors are calling out more people. People are tagging authors in reviews, which is so icky. Like, I know to some degree you want the author to like click on your video or to even remotely acknowledge you because you acknowledge their work, but never tag an author in your review, good or bad. It's just not the proper etiquette. And like, gosh, when did etiquette get thrown out the window? Social media is forming and creating this atmosphere where they're just going to learn how to market better, even if it is a crap book. Bring back proper literature, please. Anyway, I think that's it for this video. Oh my gosh, I feel like I've been talking forever. This is a proper topic that we've finally gotten into, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. I will see you guys in a couple of days for our next Bookmas vlog. But yeah, thank you for getting into the nitty-gritty with me. Make sure you guys like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you comment. Make sure you also follow all of my bookish links in the description, as well as all of my social media if you want to keep up with me. That being said, I will see you guys in another video. Bye!